Cobb TV. Watch your life make sense.
When one looks into the human heart, we can see it is a collection of desires. From the basic necessities to the more complex social desires of wealth, honor, and knowledge. But there appears a point within every human heart that yearns for something different. It desires to know only one thing. What is the meaning of my life? Welcome to The Point.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up, for the most part, in Texas. I was definitely growing up during the turbulent 60s and early 70s. The Vietnam War was raging at the time. I remember having friends in school that lost brothers. So there was the Vietnam War, there was all the racial tensions, and growing up in the South during that time period. We had riots at school during the desegregation. And so there was some real turbulence at the time. And, other than some of the things like riots in school, which are hard to forget, but I had a very, very idyllic childhood for the most part. I grew up in an intact family and with surrounded by a lot of love, and never really knew hardship growing up. But I was always very introspective. I always found it hard to engage and get involved with the other kids. My parents were staunch Republicans, and it was anything. Oh, the Beatles were just coming out at that time, and that was
Unacceptable.
Yes, it was those crazy long-haired hippies from England. It just
Right.
it was a very conservative environment, politically, and a very traditional family. Well, one of the things is a grand piano, and my music has been very important to me throughout my life. I started taking piano lessons when I was, probably 5 years old, because it was my mother's dream, really, back then. When I got older, when I was in my 40s, found a fabulous piano teacher and really got seriously involved in the music and did some volunteer performing for fundraisers and would act as backup pianist sometimes for some churches in the area.
What struck you about music in general when you were a child that made it grow into such a passion as you grew older?
I think it was a way for me to really get in touch with the emotions that I was feeling, that sometimes it was hard for me to do that in other settings. And with the music, if I was upset, I could pull out Beethoven and pound away at Passionata or Rachmaninoff just for the sheer emotion, and Chopin for the passion and beauty and joy. So a way to get in touch with the emotional side, which a lot of times is hard for me to do. My next object is an ornament, a golden retriever ornament that was made by a friend. I got involved with dogs after I got married, and my first golden retriever I trained for search and rescue, and so I probably participated in somewhere between 50 and 100 wilderness searches up in Washington State. And it combined my love of dogs with the desire that I had to do something that I felt would help people, and was just something that seemed very worthwhile and important to me. Some of it, when it was a successful search and there were happy endings, but also even when it was an unhappy ending, being able to at least bring closure to families so that they would know what happened to their loved one. And that was very rewarding.
And did at one point were you dissatisfied with this? Was this enough for you?
I've been very, very blessed and fortunate in my life, and it was very enjoyable and pleasant, but I was always looking for something more. There were always new things that called that maybe it would provide us the sense of excitement and fulfillment. So I can't say I was ever really completely satisfied where it was all that I ever wanted to do. I always felt that there were new challenges and opportunities out there. My third object was something that my husband gave to me, and it was actually reflecting my scuba diving at the time, which I was doing with the dolphins and the coral. Yeah. But the significance for me is even much deeper than that, because it was a gift from him that he really went out of his way to get this for me, and so it's very important to me.
Where did he
go? And he is such an incredible man and such an important part of my life.
I can see that.
And he is one that from the time he was a little boy has been searching for answers to this question of what's the meaning of my life. And he's the one who really started me thinking more and more about that.
You said that your husband went out of his way to get you this coral with the dolphins?
Dolphins, yes.
Just want to make sure, because you are the expert. The dolphins on it. And how far did he go? How did he come across this and bring this to you?
Through a friend, he heard about a man in Florida that had a group that was involved in some philosophical teachings. And he went down there to meet this man and talk with him. His teaching was a combination of several different philosophies. A lot of it was based on a gentleman by the name of Gurdjieff called The Fourth Way. It was very much about the damage that our egoism and our self-centeredness and selfishness does, and that to truly find the meaning in life, you need to look outside of yourself, and that the meaning in life comes from being of service to others.
Serving each other.
Serving each other, and serving the greater community as well. And that became very important to us. It was a wonderful experience, but there started to be some things that just didn't seem to work for us within that particular group that we had some concerns of. So we started separating a little bit from that and started looking for something else, because one of the things that particularly he had always found is that when you are ready, the right teacher will show up.
And did he or she?
Well, yes, and it kind of came through a strange mechanism, because we went to a lecture of a friend of our teachers that had come for a visit, and he mentioned something about this thing called the Tree of Life, which for some reason just really struck me. And I couldn't let it go. And I started getting on the internet and just finding everything I could about the Tree of Life, which led me to this thing called Kabbalah. And I probably spent about a month just looking at websites on the internet, and all of it seemed interesting and close, but it didn't really seem quite what I was looking for until I found a website of this group by the name of B'nai Baruch. And for whatever reason, as soon as I found that website, I knew that that was what I had been looking for. They started some online classes at about that time.
Right.
And as I listened to the instructors, some of the things that they were saying answered questions that I've had my entire life.
What questions were those?
Some of them were related to some of what is said in the Bible, that some of the things in the Bible didn't make much sense to me. Things like Abraham was asked by God to sacrifice his son. And I couldn't imagine a loving God wanting a father to kill his son. And they gave different explanations for things like that were not based upon a father killing a son, but of things that happen inside of us and the different parts of us within. This selfishness versus the desire to be of use and help others. And factors like that put an entirely different context and meaning to the stories in the Bible. Part of it was just answers to this question of what is the purpose of life, and this idea that the purpose is in this connection between people. Just at a gut level, seemed so right to me. So it seemed worth investing the 6 months to go through the online class, and the more I got into it, the more I found it answered deep questions, and it was something that would provide me a lifetime of being able to explore and do something with my life other than just live and consume and have things. And great, by the time when it's over, what have I really accomplished?
So it seems like it not only answered kind of, where is this all going, this question